itself, as this is the first staging, but of course we can look back at Moscone Cups over the years, and in the 30 years that's been around, there have only been 10 instances of a team trailing after the first day and going on to win. It is the smallest possible margin at this stage though, and still a lot of pool to be played over the 3 remaining days. And Jeremy, let's hope the team match is anything like as good as it was on opening night.
Yeah, it was a nice one to start. There was a lot going on. Team Asia feeling good for a while, but Team Europe so resilient with a big comeback.
Copigny was actually the only player on either team not to win a rack in the team match last night. He starts at this time.
Yeah, well, beautiful break off there, and he's going to get somewhat of a look on the blue too. He's only inches away from it, so sometimes that can be a bit of an odd shot, but no complaints here from Copigny to start day 2. Definitely attack. I'm not sure if he'll go one rail with a little inside left spin, kind of checking the cue ball, or if he'll come 2 cushions out of that corner the cue ball's near. Either way, he kind of wants to go at the purple 5 with the cue ball to set up something on the red 3. Boy, and you wouldn't say he hit it poorly, but again, it's hard at first to really commit to a little thicker on some of these shots. The ball tends to cut a little cleaner on the slick table.
I don't think I've ever seen a ball hanging so perilously on the edge of a pocket. You're still looking at it now thinking it's going to fall in.
Yeah, and certainly if the green 6 was not in the way, he could make the blue 2, but trying to predict the cue ball path when a ball lays so deep, very difficult. I'll tell you, I don't even know if I kick at this. What is the future? Almost always, if you happen to make it, you follow this ball in. Now Jason's trying to see if he can tie something up, maybe move the 8 into position by the brown 7 and just surrender ball in hand, because again, even with ball in hand, it's not the easiest to move the cue ball down off a ball that's so deep. So we'll see. Okay, he kind of moved the 3 a little bit. I'm not sure if that's going to help Copigny. I think it is.
If he'd managed to pull that off and get on the 3, would have been a lovely way to inject some early energy into the European cause.
Yeah, and again, that's why he doesn't want to burn an extension here with ball in hand with a ball hanging, right? But that's just how tricky it is. Got to hit downward, I think. Yeah, this may get lost. You got to know you got to hit downward on that ball. Can't hit a high ball. It's got to be more of a low spin.
Only one ball gone off the table, and we've already seen plenty of event and incident.
Yeah, well, you could see a little hook right there about 1.5 feet after the cue ball had hit the 2, and that's what high English does.
Of course, the 2 balls gone now as well, so ball in hand and an excellent chance for sure to get Europe off to a good start. If you weren't with us for the opening day, Asia won all of the first 4 racks in the team match. Europe needed to win 5 in a row, and that was exactly what they did.
Yeah, so it looks to be a much different start to this team match from day 1. And different orders, by the way. It's always intriguing. Good speed here from Eagle Eye. Wants to command something the same. Doesn't want to fall straight on the brown 7. So probably hit inside the side pocket. That kind of guarantees the angle. And if you happen to fall a little straight, you're real close to your work. Michael, you know, for brand new felt, of course, slick conditions, perfectly clean cue ball and object balls. I'm very impressed with this table. for a day one, and now that beginning of day two, it's played pretty difficult.
Yeah, nothing difficult about the 8 and 9 for sure to finish this. So it took them until rack 5 to get one on the board in the team match last night. Jason Shaw has delivered straight away at the start of this second day. Both of them had their chances. It's Shaw who delivers off that ball in hand. Foucault had scratched in potting the 2 that he had left hanging in the jaws. So what was your approach to the team matches when you were captaining the Moscone team, Jeremy? What kind of message did you send to your team going into those?
Well, you know, it's obviously the first match. You know, there's going to be so many impactful times in this tournament. Don't get so involved in this one. Try and start to develop that gut instinct and go over some of the things we worked on. Of course, we're always going to try and win. That's just what these guys do. And you know, just trying to respond, get a little communication going, a little feel for your players, and of course, feel for the table.
So Catchy stepping up to break. He actually played the opening rack on day 1 against Carlo Biado and lost it, but then beat him second time around. It's the second leg of Europe's 5-timer that saw them turn that one around and take the opening points. Catchy also played a singles last night
Rack
and
2.
lost to Duan Kwok Hwang.
Team Europe to break, leading 1 rack to 0.
Looky here, open hand bridge to break the balls. So that tells you he's taking speed off, and we don't see that much from the big man. Oh yeah, definitely took some speed off, and a kick on the 9.
And he's taken the 9 off as well, all the way off the table. And it's another golden break. Catchy, the man who was 1 rack away from being world champion earlier in the year, has delivered a golden moment here, and all of a sudden 2-0 Europe.
And that's, I think, 3 golden breaks for Team Europe so far in this Moscone.
Jason Shaw had 2 last night. One of them he didn't even notice. He had turned away from the table.
Yeah, and we always talk about it when you make a big mistake. It's a lot of times a break and run or something like that, where you don't get out of the chair. A golden one for Catchy and a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, Shaw had the one last night playing with Mickey Kraus. 3-0 down at the time against Carlo Biado and Johan Chua. That was what kick-started their revival. They came back to win that one 5-3. Yet another one later in the evening. It's been not the best of times for Catchy of late. He had a very disappointing performance in the Hanoi Open, not the first he's had recently, and he's also taken a good bit of time off in recent months. That at least was a good moment for him to enjoy. You played in the team match, didn't you? I think it was just the once.
Yeah, just once when I had to
3.
fill in for Earl.
Team Asia to break.
But it was a lot of fun. I actually
racks to
played
0.
Catchy that game, that one game I got to play.
So you never played in it as a player?
No, we didn't have the team match that I recall way back when, of course. But it's a great idea. Now, what a big shot on the blue 2 to get to an early 3-9 combination. I think it does squeeze by the green 6. And they can talk about Mickey Kraus, and of course, he's always impressed me, and I truly love the kid. But this guy, to me, was the most impressive from day one. I think just because the buildup of a lot of things and not quite having the year of Mickey Kraus. Mickey can lean on a few more things than DeWalt.
Yeah, he beat Catchy in the singles last night. Bit of a turnaround for him after going out very disappointingly early on in his home country last week, beaten by Dean Shields in the last 64 of the Hanoi Open.
I'll tell you, it must not go in the corner unless it's dead straight and you really can't move the cue ball. But I don't mind him attacking the side here with low left spin, trying to swing the cue ball some 3 to 4 rails around for the 3-9 combo. He had another look at the corner, so maybe there's a portion of the pocket there. Oh yeah. Oh, he really warped it though. That last look from the cameraman kind of told me there was plenty of pocket, maybe. Now decisions for FSR. Looks like the bank does play cross side.
Yeah, Sanchez Reyes was the only player to have a break and run in the opening team match last night, and that was the rack against Johan Chua, which completed their recovery from 4-0 down to take it to 4-all, setting up that hill finish, which his good pal David Al-Kaidi won.
Now this bank, it looks like the reason why he's shaking his head, he's got to cut it a hair. So that'll take the cue ball up the table a pinch. Hard not to have a little look at the 9 here maybe though. Okay, he just went for the safety. All right, this is going to be overrun a little bit. Good object ball speed. But as much as anything, and you know, he actually lost both the games against Catchy when he really played some beautiful safeties. And Catchy kicked the ball in and had a clearance. But I think his decision making overall was just superb. This is definitely tricky. Where do you go, really? Just trying to bank it back down. How good is the touch so far? Now did that 2-ball catch the point? Because it kind of straightened out. Thought it was going to come more about the first diamond on the low rail. Now just like his best friend, David Al-Kaidi, really two of the best going to the rail first with the cue ball. Now I really like to walk with a choice to hit the left side of the 2 here and go up behind the pink and let the 2 cross over using the green 6, the black 8, and maybe the red 3. So always a choice there on this shot. He can hit the bottom side, send the 2 up table, or he can play, again, the cue ball up table. Yeah, that's the shot I liked a little more. He's going behind the purple. And just see how much cover there was there.
Sanchez Reyes, an experienced member of Team Europe now. He's played in 2 Mosconi Cups the last couple of years, been on the winning team both times. Also a World Cup winner with Spain 2 years ago.
All right. Thought the hit overall was pretty good, and he got pretty fortunate here. He caught the 8 and still got the snooker. This is makeable. All right, he's got to add some left spin to cut the 2 into the 9, coming back 2 rails behind the red 3, I think. The 2's going to come up. So this is a true tester if he takes it on. Usually when the players attack here on the slick table, tend to overcut this ball, and sometimes badly.
That's impressive to do that, isn't it? Looking on, seeing his whole team there, knowing what he's playing for early on this second day of the Reyes Cup.
Well, again, the decisions is what has been so impressive, and then maintaining the stroke. I mean, we all know how good his stroke is, but oh, that ball got a big kick. Huge, huge kick.
Yeah, I think we're going to look at a replay, but I'm not sure we even need to. It was so obvious. Here it is.
Kind of turned sideways a little at contact there. A little fortunate again with the snooker, unfortunate with the kick. But he's been so settled with the stroke, and, you know, To the average fan, it's sometimes hard to tell, but I think the more you watch, you'll see the differences.
Well, he's going to get another chance.
All right, he was trying to kick and bang that ball around the table, holding the cue ball on the bottom cushion. So a little off the mark.
And now Duong looking to get Team Asia off the mark in this night 2 opening match. As I said, this is an idea taken from the Mosconi Cup, on which this event is modelled, but they normally only play it on the first night. So this is a new idea to have several team matches across the nights.
Well, that's the beauty of Matchroom and what all they do, never looking to sit still, really. And this will be an addition to the Mosconi Cup this year, along with, you know, a little more demanding as far as you can't just really lean on one player or maybe two.
Yeah, I think all those changes are all about really emphasizing the team element. There's a couple of different ways of doing it that they've brought in.
Okay, just stick to what you've been doing, really. Little low left English to draw the cue ball. Definitely a tester. Excuse the low left. I'll just add a little inside, go 3 rails. I would say he's the only player on both teams that shoots it that way, and that's a confident man. All right, don't race for the side here. I don't think so anyways. It really sets up to just kind of come 2 rails across and play the 8 in the corner, that being the lower left. Happy to get that brown down in that upper right corner. That could have brought back a few bad memories.
Yeah, had a bad miss on the 7 in the decisive rack last night, which he lost to David O'Cady.
Similar to this shot, really. That 7 ball missed.
But not missed this time. So Duong Kwok Wang delivers Team Asia's first rack. Europe's lead is now 2-1.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us here in the second day of the inaugural Reyes Cup presented to you by the World Nineball Tour, Puyat Sports in association with Sky Sports, Signal TV, and Playtime PH.
It's the second day of the Reyes Cup in Manila. Asia leading overall 3-2. And in this team match to start us off in today's play, we've had 3 racks so far. A golden break in the middle from Catchy. The other 2 reasonably eventful though. And the overall picture is 2-1 to Europe as David O'Cady starts rack 4.
All right, the 1 down and cue ball nearing the side. So definitely see a difference in the breaking styles, though. Much lighter from David. Almost, in my opinion, maybe a hair questionable light, to be fair. Not much object ball movement here.
Push out called.
Just watch the swing of the arm, but still effective. It's going to be a difficult push out, though, with all these balls near the 2. He certainly isn't going offensive, or you wouldn't think. But he's got to watch out for the tactical side. He's one of the best, but of course Yap really good also. All right, this is going to bounce a bit,
your choice.
so he's going to offer a lot more of the cue ball, surprisingly to me. I'm suspecting Yap's going to play the 2, cut it a little to, what would that be, his left, our right as a viewer. Trying to play the cue ball behind the 6 and the 7. This is why I wouldn't have offered as much cue ball. He gets to hit down on the ball a little more, use a bit of spin. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a mistake from David, which is rare. Now, don't get me wrong, Yap executed it very nicely, and it wasn't, just a cold-blooded hanger, but very playable.
There were some concerns about Yap. He qualified for the team mostly through points he got at the start of the process, and he hasn't been in great form recently, but wow, was it a fine first day for him, which finished with that late night Hill win over Jason Shaw to give Asia the lead going into today.
Is he trying to go on the pink here or behind it? Maybe giving up a little edge. I don't really think so, but it's close. And I was super impressed, like I said in the opening, that I happened to I wasn't trying to really talk to him about anything about his game or anything, but he just offered it right up that, hey, I kind of poked at that 7 ball, maybe tried to cinch it instead of really swinging the cue. And I think that's a big difference in today's game versus some of the players years ago, recognizing that, what's on them and what's not. Okay, he's snookered. You can't afford to gamble not hitting this ball, but coming to this left long rail, you just don't want to open up the 6-7. That can give you a little protection later in the rack. I wouldn't doubt he hits the high ball here fairly lightly. Just trying to knock the 2 by the 7, let it come up as the cue ball follows down to this short cushion. David, in a good manner, tried to play for a little luck in the last kick shot, and that's how it is. This will be a little more by design. He's opened to 6-7 and surrendered a shot, I think.
Bit of a tussle on the 2 balls since O'Cady made the 1 off the break. It looks as though that exchange has gone his way. So he looks to put Europe 2 clear again.
Is he not attacking here? This ball's cuttable. Okay, decided to pass.
Well, why would that be? That is a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it was steep, but you had to play short side position on the 3 and take it to the lower right corner. So maybe he felt this safety was not only very doable, not going to miss that, but maybe a little tough for Yap. He's got to bend this, Michael. He's got to hit down with draw. He's got to let it have time to take.
Foul stroke.
Actually took too much.
Ball in hand. Please start
Just
the clock.
worth remembering, of course, this is rack 4, so if it was to go the distance, this would be the deciding rack in the opening team match. And for O'Cady, that would be for the 2nd night in a row.
Yeah, people question, you know, who's going to play that heel-hill match in these teams.
Foul stroke.
Oh, wow, he miscued.
Ball in hand.
He miscued with the 2-9, I think. Now, is the 4 in the way? I don't think it is.
Please start the clock.
What a turning point. We saw a huge miscue from him in a big moment in the Hanoi Open. Crucial game to advance.
Well, what an eventful rack that turned out to be, even with very few balls being potted in it. So the miscue from O'Cady, handing Yap ball in hand, a combination in the side, and suddenly we're level again. It looks as though it's going to be even more eventful than last night.
Yeah, I saw a miscue from Dewalk last night. Still made the ball with no problems, but it wasn't a ball in hand situation, which, you know, just inches away. You didn't expect. I was going to say about David too. He's played a little hot and cold in these team events at times, but the one good thing is it seems like he's been really hot when it's meant the most.
Yeah, we saw it there again, the miscue, hitting the green 6 first. And that has ultimately cost him the rack. I had a look there, Jeremy. You actually did play in the team match another year. So the last time you had played prior to when you were drafted in at the last minute was 2008. So there was a team match that year.
Okay.
You obviously don't remember much about it, though.
No, I don't. That was there in Malta. I remember the cup pretty vividly. I remember the doubles. I played with Rodney one match. I know I played, I think maybe with Earl a match. But yeah, go on, Michael.
No, that was it, really. Just to point out that you had played in it before. Europe actually did win that team match.
Well, we lost that one, you know.
Yeah.
I try to forget about those things.
You say you lost it, but I was having a look at it. Listen to the lineup that year. Earl Strickland, Johnny Archer, Rodney Morris, Jeremy Jones, Shane Van Bonen.
Yeah.
And still Europe won 11-5. That's an incredibly strong American team.
Yeah, it was a funny one there that year. Lost some matches that were close. I lost a singles match, heel to Mika.
Thank you,
was
rack
a big
5.
match.
Two nations to break. Scores are tied, 2 racks each.
Just like when we used to win, those European teams were a little better than people think.
Beato was first up for Asia last night in the team match. Last up tonight.
Well, sometimes a question mark with Beato. We saw it at times in Hanoi. Gets the one down there. Close quarters to the 2, so it's going to be a safety to open. But just look at the spreads, right? Compared to the last break from David. Much different, I think. Now, is he going to cut the 2 into the 3 and move just a short distance with the cue ball? Or is he going to try and play, maybe go up table and use the 4? Because if he goes a short distance, it's going to be a very playable kick.
So Mickey Krauts played a key role in the team match last night, albeit a very brief role because he got an early win in his rack. Europe were 4-0 down at the time. He made the Karam combination, and that was what started Europe's remarkable turnaround to win 5-4.
Yeah, don't get cute here, not get a rail. Yeah, this happens all the time.
Ball in hand.
You see it. They try to play a little something special.
Please start the clock.
And things go awry.
Great call, Jeremy. And here it is. Yeah, if you're not familiar with Nineball and you're new to it, as people often are for the major events, you've got to make contact with a rail after making the initial contact, unless, of course, you pot a ball. And if you don't, it's a foul and therefore ball in hand.
Yeah, and Carlo not the best cue ball with ball in hand there. Should have hit the top side or what would be the left side of the pink 4. Still playable. Yeah, and that's any ball after contacting, touch the rail, or like Michael said, if you pocket one, of course, that's a clean turn at the table and you continue shooting. Oh, he's playing it safe. He's not even going for it. Surprising. Don't make this up in the corner.
Yeah, would have left himself in all sorts of trouble on the 4. Imagine trying to get out of that hook. But a bit of caution on both sides so far tonight.
Well, we saw it a little bit in that team match where Fran played Dwalk in that game, right? To where he didn't elect to shoot at a shot where Dwalk did. Almost exact same types of cuts. So again, this team match shows us who's a little more comfortable, and I love it to open each day. This is one Mickey should hit. Again, he could come behind it, maybe not get a cushion. Beautiful hit. So now 2 days in a row, Carlo gets ball in hand on the 2 and doesn't get position on the 3 or proper position. Last night it was to win the match and he missed the 3. Tonight now he's in a tough spot.
Yeah, that was the thing that was really tough to take for Asia. Not only being 4-0 up, but they had more than enough chances to get it done after that.
Not bad, but probably is going to get him a snooker behind the brown 7 and the 9. Real natural to come off the right side and just float up table. I like playing to the rail off the right side. And don't worry about the 3s so much. Just play the cue ball. Oh, he went this way. Okay. Not bad.
Biada was involved in 2 matches last night where the Asian side lost a big lead because in his doubles later on against Johan Chua, they were 3-0 up, as I was saying, against Sean Kraus and didn't win another rack.
See a little bit of a shake there from Carlo, but it's the natural. He's kind of always had that, believe it or not. Maybe the moment adding a bit more. Now, do you kick it this softly? Because, I mean, I'd like to stay on top of this 3 ball. Not really anything offensive. Great hit. Watch out 5. Watch out 5.
Carl Boys, the European captain, looking on there at a lifetime undefeated record in the Mosconi Cup. In terms of the overall outcome, he was involved 4 times as a player, twice as assistant captain, and Europe won every time. Had an incredible winning personal percentage as well, Carl.
I think Carl's like, I was kind of that way. I really like the pressure, and not saying I always perform perfectly. You just gotta kind of fall in love with it. None more than the Mosconi and now the Reyes Cup. Beautiful strike there. And that could really settle Carlo in.
One of 2 players on the Asian team from the host nation, Philippines. A player with a massive history in the game. One of only 13 players to have won both of the 2 biggest individual titles, the World Championship and the US Open. Jeremy's looking very worried that I'm going to ask him to name the other 12, but we'll leave that for another day.
I could knock out a few, but I don't know if I could get the entire dozen. All right, little the wrong side of the green 6 here, so that tells me he's going to have to shoot the 7 from a bit more distance. But again, just like, you know, we talked about maybe some players feeling the heat, you can really, you know, I wouldn't say totally settle yourself in, but knocking in a few nice balls in this team match can go a long ways. And he got just kind of in between. I'd like to have had a little less angle to come one cushion or a little more angle to come two cushions.
Two balls away then from giving Asia the lead for the first time this evening. Remember, they were 2-0 down. So it was a cagey enough start to rack 5. But Beato has swept over the line. 3 in a row for Team Asia. Now they are in front. So what an opportunity now to strike a blow. It was the Europeans who were coming from behind to win matches last night. They were 3-0 down in one, 4-0 down in another. It was only 2-0 in this one. And it would still be a great blow for Asia to strike right at the beginning of this second day. When you're deciding the order that the 5 players are going to go out in the team match, Jeremy, from your captaincy days, I guess it's not something you can have a real overall policy about. You're dealing with different circumstances each time and just have to take a pragmatic view on it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a lot of, it's easy to get too involved and think this or that. It's the first match of the day, so you're thinking about it, you're concentrating on it, and you want to put your players in the best spot to get a little comfortable moving on. But I just think the dynamic's great. You know, everyone always thinks about the Hill-Hill match and, oh, you should play this guy. But guess what? To get to Hill-Hill, you have to play 8 games prior. So there's lots of different pros and cons.
Yeah, and you look at whatever thinking went into putting Chua out in the second rack tonight, and of course it was of no relevance because he didn't even get to the table. So I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's the sort of thing you can get too caught up in.
Now, the beautiful thing about it, you know, unless you get beat 5-0 or some kind of, you know, lopsided score, you're going to get to break the balls at least once. Thanks, if we get into the second stage or the second cycle of these team matches, and that's where we're at in rack number 6.
Team Europe's break. Training 3
so
racks.
Shaw hoping to become the first player in this Reyes Cup to beat the same opponent twice in the course of one team match. He's already beaten Kopinyi once this evening in the first rack, but he has not had a good start to rack 6.
Yeah, and I tell you, he read my mind with that break. I was going to say, the where he's breaking, I think no one more, you have to watch the 9 on the break shot. Breaking more from the center, the 1's a little thinner hit, so the cue ball is going to have more speed rocketing back into that 9. Kopinyi, who had ball in hand in the first game after a miss, and it wasn't easy. I don't think he really felt bad about the miss, but the scratch with the ball in hand, of course, he didn't expect, and you could see it kind of wore on his face a little bit. But his team's got him back in it, and now a lead. I think he's got to kind of bang this around and gamble a little. Hopefully the 1 doesn't hit the 2 ball as it comes around 3 cushions. And he's hit that nice and tight. Watch how he stunned the cue ball to the top cushion. So that shot's going to come up more in this, I almost said Moscone Cup, this Reyes Cup.
Habits die hard.
Yeah, but it's going to come up more, that type of shot. So to get a good feeling on it now is good for Kopinyi. All right, Jason, of course, who doesn't get enough credit in this department. And you talked about him being a little more subdued. I think Scott kind of touched on this in the opening, that I think we've seen that as his play's gone on all year. We saw it in Hanoi, a little more casual around the table, a little more safety being played, you know, not fishing so far from the shore at times. Great effort there.
Yeah, Sean was going along so nicely in defence of his Hanoi Open title last week, and a lot of people were saying they fancied him to win it again. But from 9-6 up in the quarterfinals against Copigny, lost 4 racks in a row, and that was that.
Yeah, well, some will say it was unlucky, and it was in a sense because Jason played really well. It was just 2 key mistakes, and I think at 9-6, was it a dry break? Is that right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, there were certainly 2 key moments we were looking back on at the end, and early on in the match, actually, Shaw could have had a really, really good lead, and really there would have been very little danger of a turnaround, but didn't take those opportunities, and Co made him pay in the end.
All right, playing the safety. I kind of like the kiss shot on the 5 myself. This has got to go a little bit. It's got to go. And I thought he might attack off the right side of the 1, trying to kiss the purple 5 in. Yeah, and it was really the 2 of the more simple shots that got away from Jason. 1 on the 7, 1 on the 8. All these he's knocking in, it seems like the medium tough shots, especially with pressure.
So first chance goes to the Scot, and it's a good one. Such an experienced player in this sort of environment. 8 Mosconi Cups under his belt, and he's been on the winning team in all but 2 of them.
Yeah, from the full hit, that ball doesn't want to track out as much. Just barely gaining an angle and making this pretty easy. But if he falls just like 2 inches short there, it's a tough shot. Or tough situation, let's say. A lot of people go forward here. It's kind of a choice. You're so close. You could stun 1 cushion, which is what I like. Yeah, I like that. Slick table, that's the shot that's overlooked so often.
Well, we went the distance in the team match on day 1. And the odds are shortening on it happening again. Because it looks as though we're going to be all square with 3 racks to go in this match. Shaw not quite there yet. Efren Reyes, 70 years of age now. This event as much a tribute to him as anything else, and all he's achieved in the game. And how he's inspired so many to take it up here in this country of 100 million people. This to level. For the second time tonight, Jason Shaw wins the rack against Copigny. So it's now 3-all. Europe got off to a flyer in the team match on day 2 of the Reyes Cup, winning the first 2 racks. They then lost the next 3, but Jason Shaw, so often playing a key role for Europe in Mosconi's down the years, has levelled again at 3 each. Johan Chua didn't get to the table in his earlier rack because Catchy killed it off straight away with a golden break. Here is our first look this evening at the new Hanoi Open champion.
A little more of a flirt at that scratch than he wanted, going one rail towards that same side, but the one was pocketed. I think he can get at the 2. I'm not sure what kind of options he has, but thankful the cue ball didn't get lost.
We're not generally seeing a lot of good chances after the break since this tournament started, so what's the reason for that?
Well, it's just, you know, it's just random. The rule is we place the 2 on the corners because it is the most random, whether it's on the wing or in the back. Just gets kisses here and there, and it's just unpredictable, really.
But there's nothing in the conditions that would lend itself to that?
No, not really. It seems as a whole the balls are breaking really nicely. I think one break we've seen some clusters, but overall players are hitting them with some speed, so they should get openings.
It's your choice.
You know, it just kind of runs like that for a while, and you know, it was great play by FSR, but just like Federer Gors, just seems like when you're winning the tournaments, you tend to get a few more shots, and then you got to take advantage behind it. All right, and cut the 2 into the purple here. The 9's a nice ball. Does take an accurate hit to run the cue ball back up table. So Catchy may take this on. Could play another shot. Could kind of bank the 2 up table and let the cue ball go into the purple. I kind of like the cut on the 2 myself and go towards the green 6. Oh, he hit it way light. Really light.
Johan Chua now all the way up to number 6 in the world after his triumph in Vietnam just 3 days ago.
Extension called.
I was just going to say, you know, one reason about being somewhat of a Jason Shaw on their team is, of course, get the team going, get some energy, but both of them are just true entertainers and kind of like breed that confidence because they're so aggressive, and then on top of that, they perform behind it. All right, could kill this. Looks like he's going out to the center. And it's going to end up short, so 4 to the 5 could be a little tricky. Does he have to bump the 5? It looks like it.
He actually came to the venue with us today in the van, and you were sitting up front talking to him. Did he say anything interesting about how things had gone last night?
No, I think they loved it for their first time in, you know, this type of setting. He liked being, he got behind that ball. He was hoping for a little more of a direct contact into the purple 5 and get the short pocket, but it seems like to me he just enjoys it, you know, and just like talked about when he lost that European Open and maybe a few other occasions at time, making some deep runs and didn't get there. He learned from it, and when you learn from it, you know, you kind of tend to enjoy what's going on as well. Watch, ooh, what a bump on the 9. That may have gotten lost on that side, but that'll get the crowd going. What a huge game this 7th rack, because if he can get out, he's going to guarantee his team at least at Hill to get to break the balls in this opening match, and put a lot of pressure on the next European to break in rack number 8.
Yeah, that will be Francisco Sanchez Ruiz.
know, the difference in the upper echelon, and now he's number 6, and we all know he's a top 10 guy, is they really attack. You know, they don't let the moment really kind of slow them down, and for the most part, they stay really uber aggressive. And once you do that, you start to experience it, and you realize you can get it done. Kind of a little sloppy there with the tip position, but should be okay.
Well, if he completes this here, the way this run out has been made, is really going to ignite the crowd in his home country. This to get Asia to the hill. And they lead again at 4-3. He's getting the crowd going. He's getting a high five from his legendary captain. And so Asia need one more, and you know what that means. Kwok Wang, who lost the deciding rack last night, will now have the chance in the next rack to get Asia over the line and give them the first point of this second day.
Yeah, you say that, but he's got to wait and see if he gets the shot first.
He's got to
right?
wait.
Yeah. But yeah, most likely, I mean, you know, percentages are it won't be a break and run. Those are about at 25% for the pros, maybe 30. But yeah, good chance for Kwok.
We should say, of course, in the context of that Sanchez Ruiz broke once in the team match last night, and he did run out from it. So it's a theoretical chance at the moment for Kwok.
Yeah, and I think, you know, maybe besides Jason, really, no, you could say Jason as well. Every player really had a little bit of the up and down in day one. They really kind of felt both the glory and not so much glory. So that really sets up good things.
Johan Chua has spoken in such emotional terms about what it means to him to be part of the first ever Asian team playing in the tournament, named after that legendary figure on the right of your picture. And he showed a bit of emotion there after coming through a roller coaster ride in rack 7 to put Asia one in front again. So,
rack number 8.
Bit of pressure now
Team
on
Europe's
Francisco Sanchez
trailing
Ruiz.
4 racks to 3.
If he doesn't win this rack, Europe for the first time will be 2 points behind.
Oh, I didn't hear anything down. So here you go. The one ball's open. And definitely a shot that he can attack. And, you know, I've been fortunate enough to be around Efren a lot in my career, and you know, beat me several times before I ever beat him, and then he didn't really talk to me for about a month. That's kind of how it was. He you know, he just took it. That's, you know, he's a champion. But if you ever got to be around him when he's watching a match or watching one of his players, whether it be a countryman or a friend, he's so good because he's kind of the perfect captain, because he realizes how tough things are. He realizes what pressure is, and he went through it as well. It wasn't just like he went to the U.S. and won every tournament. He missed out on a lot of big events, big titles, and before he really got it going. Well, he may get away with it, but that's going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, there's no call for Efren Reyes to go into that team room and try to establish credibility. He has it automatically. He had it with these guys before they'd even met him.
When you saw on the social some posts even by the Team Europe that saying that, you know, that you were a hero, you led so many of us in different ways. You know, David really made a couple comments about that. Probably why he's so good tactically, which Efren was the best in that regard. And that was exactly how he tried to play it. One rail nice and full. Kwok from distance, I think he's got to bang the one down table and draw the cue ball over to the lower right, or upper right rather. Could run off the one, but I like him kind of, oh, he's cutting at this. Oh no, he played the shot I was talking about. And I think it's going to work out. Yes, it is. He's calling David over quick because he recognizes this is a difficult hit. It's going to be 2 cushions around the green 6.
So hard, wasn't it? So, another opportunity for Duong, and this perhaps less challenging than the one he missed earlier.
Yeah, it was a little awkward. He didn't know what to do with the cue ball. You saw him crash into quite a few balls just because there was no path. This one a little more direct forward, right? A little easier. You just got to execute. Uh-oh, watch the cue ball. Oof. All right, does the 3-8 play where he can kind of hold the 3 there after pocketing the black 8 in the side? Because it's going to be pretty crucial to get nice on the pink with the 7 in the way to get back on the 5 later. Lots going on in this rack. I think he got the wrong side of this. Efren recognized it quickly. You saw him stand up behind him. Huge shot in the rack to get the clearance. I think it's cuttable, Michael. In fact, I know it is, but he can't avoid that 4 and 7. So here, don't take your eye off the prize, which is pocketing that red 3.
Well, you look dumbfounded by that, Jeremy.
Yeah, I don't think he really predicted that, because that gets you a little on the wrong side of the pink to really dress up on the purple 5. But he recognized quickly he's just going to have to take some distance on the purple 5, and I really like that little look right there, looking the pink to the hole.
Talked about how eyebrows were raised when he got the pick, and some people felt he might be a bit of a weak link in the Asian team, but sometimes it's not as much about form as it is about standing up to the moment, and he has done that so well so far in this Reyes Cup.
Oh, this is really the shot, and they know it. Look at Team Asia. Oh, I love it. In perfect position now. And, you know, I didn't get to watch him much. Of course, we're always busy at those tournaments, and I didn't get to watch him in Hanoi, but what I'm impressed is he's really improved his tactical side. We've seen him win a ton of matches and do it with the offense because he's so pure fundamentally. But he set himself up in a lot of these games, and yesterday's match really with a lot of great safes.
Almost there. Cole Boys looking on as his team stand 2 balls away from a losing start to day 2. And it's swung one way and the other so far this Reyes Cup. There's never been more than a point in it either way. Until now,
wins the match.
Duong Kwok, who had such a glorious chance to clinch the opening point for Asia in the team match on day 1, has produced a wonderful run out to get them over the line at the start of this second day. Team Asia pull away from 3-all to win the opening team match by 5 racks to 3, and now they lead overall by 4 points to 2 right at the start of this second night in Manila.